Have you ever felt the world slip right out from under your feet? Like you're standing on solid ground one moment, and the next, everything you thought you knew, everything you thought you had, is just gone? I remember the exact moment my life unraveled. It was a cold, grey morning, the kind where the sky feels heavy and the air bites at your skin. I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring at a pile of bills I couldn't pay, my phone buzzing with calls I was too afraid to answer. My name is Daniel, and this is the story of how I lost everything. But more importantly, how I found myself again. Just a year before, my life looked so different. I had a good job at a marketing firm, a cozy apartment in the city, and a circle of friends who felt like family. I was the guy who always had a plan, always knew what to do next. But life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. It started with a round of layoffs at work. I remember my boss's face, apologetic but firm, as he handed me the envelope. "It's not personal, Daniel. The company's downsizing." I nodded, numb, not realizing that this was just the first domino to fall. At first, I told myself it was just a setback. I'd find another job, maybe even something better. But weeks turned into months, and every rejection email chipped away at my confidence. My savings dwindled, and the bills kept coming. I tried to hide my struggles from my friends, putting on a brave face at gatherings, laughing at jokes I barely heard. But inside, I was drowning. The weight of failure pressed down on me, and I started to pull away from the people who cared about me most. Then one evening, I came home to find an eviction notice taped to my door. My heart pounded in my chest as I read the words over and over, hoping they'd change. But they didn't. I had 30 days to leave the only place that felt like home. I sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes I hadn't packed, and let the tears come. I felt like I was disappearing, piece by piece, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. With nowhere else to go, I moved in with my older sister, Emily. She welcomed me with open arms, but I could see the worry in her eyes. She had her own family to care for, and I hated feeling like a burden. I spent my days searching for jobs, sending out resumes, and my nights lying awake, haunted by the fear that I'd never get back on my feet. I started to question everything, my choices, my worth, my future. Who was I without my job, my apartment, my independence? One afternoon, as I sat in the park, watching people rush by, I noticed an old man feeding pigeons. He looked content, almost peaceful, despite the chaos around him. I don't know what made me approach him, but I did. We started talking, and he told me his name was Walter. He'd lost his wife a few years back, and his children lived far away. Yet, he found joy in the simple things: feeding birds, watching the seasons change, talking to strangers. "Life takes things from us, son," he said, "but it also gives us chances to start again. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what really matters." Those words stuck with me. I started to see my situation differently. Maybe this wasn't the end, but a chance to rebuild. I began volunteering at a local food bank, just to get out of the house and do something meaningful. At first, it was just a way to fill the hours, but soon I found myself looking forward to it. I met people from all walks of life, some who had lost more than I ever had, yet still found reasons to smile. Their resilience inspired me. I realized I wasn't alone in my struggles, and that gave me hope. One day, while helping unload boxes at the food bank, I met a woman named Maria. She was a single mother, juggling 2 jobs and raising 3 kids on her own. Despite her hardships, she radiated warmth and kindness. We started talking, and she shared her story with me. She told me about the nights she went hungry so her children could eat, about the dreams she still held on to, even when life seemed impossible. Her strength moved me deeply. If she could keep going, so could I. Inspired by Maria and the others I met, I decided to take a hard look at my own life. I realized I'd been measuring my worth by my job title, my bank account, the things I owned. But those things could be taken away in an instant. What really mattered was who I was when everything else was stripped away. I started journaling, writing down my thoughts, my fears, my hopes. It was uncomfortable at first, but slowly I began to understand myself in a way I never had before. As the weeks passed, I started to rebuild my confidence. I took on odd jobs, dog walking, tutoring, helping neighbors with yard work. The work wasn't glamorous, but it gave me a sense of purpose. I learned new skills, met new people, and discovered strengths I didn't know I had. I realized that every small step forward was a victory, no matter how insignificant it seemed. One evening, Emily sat me down at the kitchen table. She told me how proud she was of me, how she'd seen me change. "You're not the same person who walked through that door months ago," she said. "You're stronger now. You've faced things most people never have to, and you didn't give up." Her words brought tears to my eyes. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself too. With renewed determination, I decided to pursue a dream I'd always pushed aside, starting my own business. I'd always loved baking, but I'd never thought it could be more than a hobby. With Emily's encouragement, I began selling homemade bread and pastries at the local farmers' market. The first day, I was nervous, my hands shaking as I set up my table. But as people stopped by, tasted my bread, and smiled, I felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I could build something new from the ashes of my old life. The business grew slowly but steadily. I poured my heart into every loaf, every pastry, and people noticed. Customers returned week after week, bringing friends and sharing stories. I wasn't just selling bread. I was building connections, creating a community. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I belonged. I realized that losing everything had given me the freedom to chase a dream I'd never dared to pursue. Looking back, I see now that losing my job, my home, my sense of security, it was the hardest thing I've ever faced. But it also forced me to confront who I really was, to let go of the things that didn't define me, and to discover the strength I never knew I had. I found meaning in helping others, in building something from nothing, in connecting with people who understood what it meant to struggle and to hope. Today, my life isn't perfect. There are still challenges, still days when doubt creeps in. But I know now that I am more than my circumstances. I am resilient. I am capable. I am enough. If you're listening to this and you feel like you've lost everything, I want you to know you are not alone. Sometimes the greatest gifts come wrapped in loss. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. And when you do, you'll discover a strength you never imagined, a hope that refuses to die, and a future brighter than you ever dreamed possible. So hold on. Your story isn't over yet.